All right.
Well, hello everybody. Good morning. My name is Ricardo Cabrera, and I'm here today with the Latino Chamber of Commerce of Boulder County. And today we're going to talk with David Cooley, which is the coordinator or bilingual case manager for the Longmont Community Justice Partnership. So, Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you first, Ricardo, for having me here. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about what we do at the Longmont Community Justice Partnership. As you said, I am the bilingual case coordinator, and so aside from handling, any kind of case that comes to us, I specialize in the cases that involve monolingual Spanish speakers, which is usually parents of young folks that have been referred to us by the Longmont Police Department. So we're an organization that offers community restorative justice to Longmont. We've been here about 25 years. So we've been established in the community for a good bit of time. And, it's really an awesome time to start talking about restorative justice with everything that's happening nationally. As people start to ask the question is, what does a new vision of justice need to look like? We believe that we have a good model that's worked for a long time. And we're excited to promote it and offer it to people who may have not ever heard of it before. And for those who have, to just reinforce their understanding of it and let them know we're still here, we're still doing it, and we want to have as many people involved in it as possible.
So David, tell me what is restorative justice? I mean, it's a new system, a new model, or an alternative model, or what exactly is it?
It's an alternative model to the traditional system of the courts that we have, which we typically call punitive justice. And it's very interesting to note how the idea of each one about how justice should be done or practiced in this society is very, very different. And so for me, it's a fascinating task to look at, what are the principles of each? What are the values of each system? What is the paradigm underneath both systems, and what are they offering us? And what do we want? Are we making a choice as a society to have the kind of justice we want collectively or not? And I think we're in a unique moment in history when a lot of people have an opportunity to take a seat at the table and start deciding, like, okay, this is a new model that we're interested in exploring. And it's existed in other cultures traditionally for hundreds of years, potentially thousands. And so that's one of the interesting things about the origins of restorative justice is that it actually comes from Aboriginal and Indigenous cultures from around the world. And so the particular model that we use in our group conference model comes from the Aborigines of New Zealand, where interestingly enough, today their justice system is founded on that traditional model for dealing with most cases that involve juveniles. So this is a model that's really community-based, and it has its roots in Indigenous community where everyone in the community matters. So because of that, I think it has really strong roots. It has a strong philosophical foundation.
Wow. So tell me, what does that look like? So say, for example, I'm walking down the street and, something happens and the police arrests me, and then what happens?
Well, that's the interesting thing, especially here in Longmont, is we're actually a pre-ticket program. And so the officer may not arrest you, depending on how you respond to the officer. So depending on what happens, you, as the individual who's made a mistake, if you're willing to take responsibility and say, hey, yes, I made a mistake, this was not my intention to harm someone else, the officer has the individual discretion to refer you to us, where then you would be offered the opportunity to sit down with a person or persons that you've harmed in a literal circle. And right now we're doing video conferencing because of the pandemic, but our process is now online. And so you sit in a virtual circle with two facilitators that help kind of guide you through the process, make sure everyone plays fair and uses, restorative language, the officer who referred the case, and then any support people that you need with you. Again, like I said, the person who's been harmed by your actions, and then two community members, which are representatives of the community that represent the community voice. So it's a very integrative, it's a very holistic model, and it's very personal. It's very immediate and local, grassroots in a sense.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's like a social environment type of a thing where you grab somebody and you try to make them understand why it's better why it's better to learn something, I guess, rather than just instantly put them into a system that will stay with them for the rest of their lives.
Exactly. And it gives you a legitimate opportunity to, as the person who's responsible for what happened, it gives you the legitimate opportunity to take responsibility for your actions, which is
Wow.
that's an
Hmm.
empowering process,
Wow.
as opposed to just being arbitrarily punished. And so you also, and it's not easy. Like some people say, oh, people are getting off easy by participating in restorative justice. There's nothing easy about sitting face to face with someone that you've harmed and saying, I was wrong, and hearing the impact of that. And so that's the dual side of this thing is people who have been harmed have the opportunity to say, why did this happen? What was going on in your life? This is how it impacted me. And so that's profound. And that brings closure, to the scenario. And then at the end of that conference, everyone in the circle works together to build a contract where the responsible individual has to
Hmm.
fulfill certain things, but that responsible person is using their strengths and interests. So in their pre-conference, so we have a pre-conference process to get everyone ready for that main conference. Responsible individuals start talking about what it is that they like, what it is that makes them human, a whole person, because we know that you can't reduce a person to their worst mistake. And so we want to see the whole person and use a strength-based model to offer people a way to repair that harm that they've caused. So that contract is a way to do that. And everyone gets input in that. It's not just saying you're going to do X, Y, and Z. It's what do you want to do to repair the harm? What does the person who's been affected need to happen to repair the harm? So it's incredibly collaborative. It's very unique.
Wow, that's amazing. I tell you what, I have more questions than time right now to ask you about this. It sounds so wonderful and so modern, um, sorry, it sounds so futuristic, so new. I'm sure with what's going on right now in other parts of the country, you guys and your group have to be like front and center and being looked at as an alternative for the police department or how they work. But before you answer that, let me ask you this: what are you guys have guiding principles? If you had a couple of words that you use to describe your values and your mission, or not your vision, your values and principles, what would they be? I know you have them there, so just wanted to share
Yeah, thank you for setting me up that way.
them.
Essentially, we're operating on the 5 R's. So restorative justice, as we practice it, is based upon the pillars of the 5 R's. And so the first one is relationship. Okay, and so we recognize that when harm is caused, when conflict arises, relationships have been harmed in between individuals and between the community. And so second, we have respect. And that's really, there's nothing without respect. So we want to come to the conference with an attitude of curiosity and we want to, as much as we can, leave our prejudices and our ideas, stereotypes of what other people are and who they are at the door, and come in and just listen, like, who are these people? So third is responsibility. And this is really the key to repair, is in order to repair a situation and to begin healing, someone has to take responsibility for a wrongdoing or for a harm caused. Fourth is the repair itself. And so what does that look like? How should that be? And again, instead of punishment, it's repair. And so it's coming from that different restorative paradigm. And then finally, we have reintegration. And so it's very important that people who have made a mistake get welcomed back into the community, because people who have done wrong often have they can have a damaged sense of self, and they can see themselves as less than. And so without that reintegration, the process of restorative justice isn't complete. So it's very holistic in that sense. It's very interpersonal, and it really values, like I said, relationships and those elements that make good relationships successful.
Wow. So, well, that's amazing, and it explains everything you talked about before this, with where the system came from, about your meetings, about accepting responsibility, and so. I mean, my next question for this would, it's a natural question for me, is, well, we know that there is a disproportionate level of minorities in jail get arrested, how they get treated afterwards. This sounds like an incredible solution or a great alternative for them. What do you think about that?
I think our goal is to really make sure that everyone everyone in the society or community in which we live has access to this process. And so we don't want anyone to be excluded because of their background, because of their nationality, or because of their language. And so we're really working hard, especially me as a bilingual case coordinator. Part of my mission with the organization is to make sure that everyone knows that we exist, one, because not everyone has heard of us, and then two, that this is a viable opportunity, this is a viable option, an alternative to going through the traditional justice system. And so we want people to know, to be able to ask for this as an alternative, to know that this is something that is an option for them. Parents of young people who have made mistakes, or adult individuals say, what does that mean? Is that available for me? You know, I've made a mistake. I didn't mean to cause harm. Is there a way that this can be handled in a way that's non-traditional, non-punitive? And the same for victims. Like, if people who have been harmed, they have the right to ask for this. So we just
Wow.
want to make sure that everyone knows that, one, we exist, two, that this is a, you know, sort of a well-tread path that they can come upon and walk along with us. And again, for us, diversity is a really big piece of this. And so it's really important that everyone in the community has access to this. And when they're in the circles, they also see their cultural and linguistic identities reflected in the people who are in their circles. So we need volunteers, and we need people who are bilingual and multicultural to come in and sit in these conferences, so that when someone comes from somewhere else, like, or you represents, you know, a face that's maybe not represented in the majority, they see themselves there. They see real members of their community there.
Well, that's wonderful, David. So thank you for that. I just want to point out two things you said right now, to leave everybody with that. You can ask for it. So, you know, it's important people know, so they know that they can ask. And you need people and volunteers. Why don't you tell us how we can get a hold of you? And I'm going to put this information here in the description below us on this video, but for now, tell us a phone number, an email address, a website, if you have it.
Yeah, the best way to really start to dip your toes into it is to look at our website. So it's www.lcjp.org. And we've just recreated the website, so it looks really nice. It's really pristine. It's very comprehensive. So anyone interested in just learning more about it can go to that website and explore at their leisure. And then also, if you're interested in volunteering, there's you know, information there that will guide you to the right place and the right people, our volunteer coordinator specifically.
All right, David. Well, thank you so very much. This has been enlightening. And let me ask you one last surprise question. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word today is relaxation, because I'm constantly working on trying to relax more. So taking it easy, taking it
Take
easy.
it easy, baby. All right. Well, thank you so very much for your time, and until next time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ricardo. I really appreciate it.